electing better Democrats, or electing your party, or even electing the Greens, or getting a full Sinn Féin government in Ireland, or even Mark Carney, who is miles better than Justin Trudeau, might I add, or getting AOC as president, any of the, or even Mamdani, to an extent, will not save us. We cannot win by just electing better politicians, and that's where a lot of more moderates in the broader left would disagree with me and in my positions. I don't think that just electing better Democrats or electing better uh, um, prime ministers in the UK or Canada will save us. I don't think it's the way out. And I also don't agree with the the even farther left tanky positioning on this matter that we should just totally disregard um, elections and electoralism as a whole. I think it's a strategy. It's a tool in your tool belt to get us out of this mess, right? But it's not the end all be all, and I want to explain today what electoralism is and why I think and why I'm kind of taking this middle ground position of where I think electoralism is a viable strategy but not the end all be all. So first of all, what is electoralism? Electoralism as a concept is basically this left, like center left concept that the best way to affect the change in which you want to see in the world is through voting. How are we going to fix, you know, all these things that have gone wrong in the last 2 years? How are we going to fix American imperial ambitions and wars and the NDAA that has now merged the American and Israeli military? How are we going to stop ICE? How are we going to, fix the, $500 billion cut to Medicaid because of the big, beautiful bill? How are we going to fix those things? You vote more. You vote for better Democrats. You vote for better um, prime for a better prime minister. You vote for better local ministers, right? It's this concept in the West that a lot of labor folks in the UK and a lot of center Democrats will push, where they just think that all you gotta do is vote for better candidates. And they're basically sitting there and dismissing other forms of political participation, like protests, like strikes, like joining a union. And at that same time, you also have a lot of people on the farther left that are more communist or tanky, right? Who sit there and say that electoralism as a concept has no use because it hasn't worked, right? They think, oh, why are you going to sit there and even try when all you get are people like AOC or Mamdani, right? And this is the American example, where Mamdani will have his NYPD commissioner be a proud Zionist in 2026, or AOC will greenlit funds or for defensive aid to Israel, right? And I don't think that either position is correct. The the modern idea or understanding of electoralism is very different, and I'll get into why I don't think that neither position is correct. And I think that there's a middle ground there that could be sought out, right? But electoralism was, I guess, created by a professor from Stanford named Terry Lynn Carl, right? A political scientist who specializes in democracy and authoritarianism. And electoralism, according to Terry Carl, states that elections may be held regularly, but they're neither free or fair. And even though you have the concept of a free or fair election, right, there is voter suppression, media is often controlled by the state or by private entities, right? And the population is also not educated enough to a point where they can cohesively coordinate to vote for their own interests and will often vote against their own interests. And with that, right, the state will kind of author and gear sort of a false legitimacy, like what we see in America, where the state will sit there and tell everybody that, oh, we hold elections, right? They're free and fair, even though the media is now owned by Musk and Thiel and the Ellisons, right? And Jeff Bezos, right? Kind of the concept of how Vladimir Putin holds elections, but he gets like 98% of the vote every time. You know? It's like that concept. You have technically free and fair elections, but, excuse me, but whether it's direct manipulation or indirect manipulation, those elections are not truly free and fair. And I argue that elections aren't free and fair because of the two-party system and because of capitalism. And the Terry Carl concept of electoralism often will exclude uh, key segments um, of the population, which it does, like the far left. We don't have a cohesive far left movement. We have a ton of splinter groups, which I've made a video about, right? Like the Greens or the Social Democrats or the Working Families Party, or like fucking the Communist Party of America. Like there's all these different little splinter groups that exist, but don't have any real power to them. Or a lot of those groups, like DSA or PSL or the Communist Party of America, will just say, those three in particular will just say, vote Democrat. You wanna get out of all this fucking bullshit, you vote Democrat. That's what they suggest. And that's sort of the problem. Like a lot of groups, whether they're, actual left groups like DSA or CPUSA or PSL, will say, vote Democrat. We need to elect better Democrats. Meanwhile, you have the center of the party, like not even center, they're basically just right wingers, like the David Packmans, the I'm blanking on her name. The guy who Abdul El Sayed is gonna fucking Haley Stevens, the APAC lady, oh Joe Manchin, the center Democrats will come in and say, yes, we need to vote for corporate Democrats, and so you have like the left agreeing with the center about just electing better Democrats, and the whole point is that which tankies partially do get right, the far left does get right, is that we cannot win by electing better Democrats, because then you disregard this whole other section of political participation in protests and organizing and unions. And so, to finish up for the actual understanding of what electoralism is, Terry Carl, and I'm going to read a key takeaway that I highlighted while researching. Terry Carl's definition is more critical and nuanced. She argues that electoralism is not just a weak form of democracy, but a tool that authoritarian regimes use to legitimize their rule. True democracy, in her view, requires both elections and the institutional framework to make them meaningful. And we do not have institutions that make our free and fair elections meaningful. Okay, so now that I've kind of given at least my understanding of what electoralism is, and me and you are caught up to speed here, the thing is, I don't agree with the maximalist left position all the way over here that you shouldn't give a shit about voting, right? And elections don't matter, but I also don't agree with the idea that all that matters are elections. I think, and I truly, truly believe this, that you must use electing better Democrats and better politicians, or even people that are green or independent in any country. And for this, I'm from the West, I'm from California, in the Western Hemisphere. You should use electing politicians to serve you and to serve the people if they don't take any corporate money or Israeli money or foreign money, right? And they are good politicians, which is a whole other separate discussion on what makes a politician a good politician, right? You should vote, but you should also organize locally. You should protest. You should be in a union. You should get together with other like minded people and form reading and education groups. You should participate in mutual aid to help your community, whether that's growing a garden or helping homeless folks with food and shelter, or any of a number of things that you can do with aid to your community. You should do voting, and you should do whether running yourself for a local office or even for Congress or a higher position if you're somehow there, right? Um, but also don't forget, which is arguably more important, the local parts of this equation, which is protesting and mutual aid and all the things that I mentioned. I don't think that you can discredit or discard either strategy. They're the same thing. They feed the same goal. Educate yourself, vote for good candidates. And I know that electing politicians has not worked in the last fucking 30 years. It hasn't. But we have an opportunity here. And I'm not saying that Mamdani or AOC are perfect. And it can go wrong like what we've seen with Graham Plattner or Fetterman, right? It can. It really fucking can go wrong. But we have a very unique opportunity to make real change while also in the background fostering a real working class network and educating ourselves and really trying to get the working class of America and of the West up to speed and understanding that race doesn't fucking matter, that um nothing matters outside of class, and understanding that it's all of us on the planet versus the 3,000, I think it was 600 bill. How there's 3,000 billionaires. It's us versus 3,000 billionaires. That's all it fucking is. So vote, okay? Vote for good candidates that represent you and your community, while also organizing locally and helping your community outside of the electoral system.